Oh, so good morning again to everyone who's here, to all of my beloved friends in Ukiah and beyond. That's really exciting for me. So we're here to be connected. And that's really kind of been the theme for me ever since I approached the board and asked them what if they would like something like this. And they, of course, were very gracious and said, yeah, let's try that. So I've been, preparing for this, but not, this is all new technology to me. I mean, I've been using it. I've been on lots of Zooms, but to actually set one up and to have to figure this out, that's something else. Now, one of the things that Madge was about to say, if you look up in your top corner, there's a place where it says speaker view. If you click on that, then the main part of your screen is going to be the person who's speaking. So for us today, that's mostly going to be me. And yet you can see little pictures of you guys across the top. And there's a little blue arrow because there's not enough room to get you all across the top. So if you click on that arrow, like, well, who else is here? You can see. But right now, like I said, probably the best thing for you is to just do that speaker view so you can see fully. Depending on how this goes over the next couple of weeks, we may modify that even more, but for right now, that's what we got. So I want to start with a treatment, and let's see if we can do this without too much trouble. I'm going to unmute Harvey, and Harvey, maybe try to unmute yourself too.
Can you hear me?
Yes. So Harvey's going to do our opening treatment.
Okay. So welcome back to the Ukiah Center for Spiritual Living on Zoom. And I offer this treatment for our coming back together and beginning the reconnection we have had with our center and with each other. So if you would like to close your eyes, that'd be fine. Right here and right now, we know that even in the midst of a pandemic and of fires and of smoke and now more heat, we know the good of our soul and our spirit, our positive source, continues to express itself and keep us coming back to the best in ourselves and allows us to reconnect with the best and the very best of who we are. In times of our own self-doubt and trials and difficulties of our current situation, as we relax and come into the peace we find in our quiet times, we find the serenity to accept those things we cannot change, and we find the courage and the strength to change the things that we can change, and the inner wisdom from our source that comes from within and without to know what we can and cannot do. So right here and right now, we release our doubts about any person or situation that disturbs us and find ourselves with the knowledge and fill ourselves with the knowledge and wisdom that moves worlds and moves our inner world to overcome our doubts and concerns and brings us to the alignment of our hearts and minds. And we are grateful for more love, more strength, more peace, and more wisdom as we bring more peace and more joy into our lives. And as we reconnect with our Center for Spiritual Living and with each other and with our own inner center with happiness and joy, we let this all be so. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you, Harvey.
You're welcome.
So go ahead and remute yourself, please. Oh, okay. All right. So the topic for today is finding your tribe. And I just thought that would be kind of an appropriate thing for us, considering we've been pretty scattered for a while and wanting to come back together. So finding your tribe seemed really good, but I need to also give credit to Reverend Dr. David Bruner, who I've been virtually attending his services now for several months, along with Santa Rosa's. David is in San Jose. And this was one of his topics this summer, was finding your tribe. And I know when I first kind of came to this, and so for you also, there may be that feeling, well, I've already found my tribe, I already know who my tribe is. So today I want you to take that a little bit deeper, because this is also about connecting, noticing, paying attention, and giving appreciation to your tribe. And so what creates a tribe, and I think our tribe as followers of the science of mind, is that we have shared values, and that because of that, things like love, things like acceptance, things like growth are part of what pulls us together. But one of the things that I've noticed in the people in my tribe, of both here in Ukiah and beyond, is that every single member, and that includes you, brings things to the tribe that I don't necessarily have. And that's a really good thing, because it's when we all are bringing our gifts and our values at the same time with the same central purpose, that makes us stronger. So coming together in forms, no matter what they look like, including this, can only make us stronger. And that's beyond just the centers. It's what we learn here, and then what we step into the world with, that makes us stronger. So in thinking about that, and when have I noticed that? When have I really felt that camaraderie and that support from a larger than just me, myself? And I had a kind of an aha moment right after 9/11. And I think everybody here, everybody on that call knows all I had to say was 9/11, and anniversary of which is coming up this week. Everybody knows where they were. Everybody, there's real distinct memory about how we found out. For me personally, my son, and it was early, I don't know exactly, I mean, it was early enough that I hadn't really done anything. I was still in my pajamas wandering around. My son called and he said, "Are you on television?" Or, because it was a long time ago. And he goes, "You're watching television?" I said, "No." And he goes, "You need to turn your television on." I said, "Which channel?" And he said, "Any channel." And he goes, "There's something really bad happening." And so I turned it on, and I remember the shock and the fear, the anxiety that I felt. And I just didn't want it to be happening, first of all, but I also was trying to make it acceptable in that it was an accident, that some plane lost control and things like that. And I was really trying hard to believe that until the second plane hit. And that I saw, and I went, "This is real." And I was absolutely almost frozen and not knowing what to do or what it meant and all of the questions. And I'm probably about an hour in, and I was starting to relax a little bit, and I was starting to go, well, what do I need to do? And Annie Raitt called. Well, for those of you who don't know who Annie Raitt was, she was a practitioner in our center, and just an amazing woman. And when she called, she goes, and I said, hello. She goes, Candace, this is Annie. We need to go to the center. We need to open the center. And I went, you're right. And so, and she didn't even live that far from me. And the two of us drove down and we opened the center and we started calling people just to let them know that we were open. And so kind of what I realized was my empathy gene kicked in. And now it was more than just me. And I realized that that's what my tribe needed. They didn't need the frightened me. They needed the true me. So, what I know, this, leaving that story behind at this point, we got past all that. And now we're here. And a lot of things are going on that, at this point, 190,000 deaths in the United States because of COVID. And we're looking at the total inequity of how things have been balanced here and in other places too, but specifically in the United States, particularly racially. And so the question came up for me that I've got to present to you, which is this: have you noticed that knowing the truth, that God is all there is, doesn't remove challenge from our lives? And I think that's one of the main keys right now that we all need to start focusing on, is what we believe is so powerful and so important, but there are certain things that, who are we going to bring to those moments? Are we going to bring the frightened person, or are we going to bring the true person, the one who knows? So as an individual and as a tribe, we can deliver. In fact, we can be the delivery system through which the universe can be experienced at a higher level. And so that delivery system is here to deliver a greater capital T truth, and to remember who we are all the time. So here's the truth, the way I'm considering it today. So we know that we live in a universe that responds to our thought. So the question, as it always is, or always has been, is, so what are you thinking about? What is your thought? It's really important that we start to distinguish, because we have more than one kind of thought. And so I want to talk about just some clarification for myself, and I hope will help you. I have broken down most of my conscious thinking to two forms of thought. One of them is spontaneous thought, and the other is impulsive thought. Now, if you look up spontaneous and impulsive in the dictionary, their definitions are really, really similar, but I'm going to designate today. So spontaneous thought for me is that positive, it's intuitive thought that comes from a very deep place. And we all have it, and we all recognize it when it's happening, if we're willing to take a moment and go, oh yeah, I get it. That's a spontaneous thought. The other, the impulsive thought, usually tends to be more negative. It tends to be more knee-jerk. So it's like right after you see something and it's hard, or in some cases in the last couple of months, horrific, and that knee-jerk happens where you're just angry and frustrated and want to blame somebody. That's impulsive thought. There's also another designation, is often when I know I'm in spontaneous thought because it feels joyful and it brings me energy. It propels me forward. Impulsive thought feels fearful. It often feels angry, and it freezes. Or at least for me, I get frozen there. I don't know what to do. I can't tell you how many times, like, I just don't know what to do in the last couple of months. But it reminds me of an Emerson quote that goes like this. The wise man in the storm prays to God, not for safety from danger, but deliverance from fear. So I think that's a big part of it is, can we let go of fear on any level? So anyway, we want to listen really deeply for that spontaneous thought and act accordingly. Now, I'm not going to be brazen to say that I'm always responding to my spontaneous, joyful thoughts, because all I have to do is watch the news, and my impulsive, judgmental thinking will just come pouring out. But I also know that even in a world that agrees with my anger and with my upset, that anger and upset gets me nowhere, and it definitely gets the world, my tribe, nowhere. I guess the most positive thing I can say about impulsive thought is sometimes when we're in fear, it is a huge old roadside to stop and determine what you want to do next. So for me, when I'm in that place of impulsive thinking, I ask, what is here for me to know? What is mine to do? And the answer always comes from my spontaneous place. That I'm just by those two short little questions, I'm able to go a little deeper. And then I know where I can take action. So being able to do these services with all of you right now is part of my answer. It's like, we need to reconnect became a really strong, spontaneous thought for me. And I argued with it. I'll tell you, I did argue with it. It's like, nah, I'm retired. I should, nah. And then it was like, no, this is something that you can do and it will make a difference. So thank you for joining me in making a difference. But I just know that when I found that answer, the other part of the answer that I was getting when it's like, well, doing a service for the center, that would be good. The other part of it was that you need to slow down. And that wasn't about activity, that was about thinking. That I need to think about what I'm thinking about and look at my thoughts. So Mark Nemo, and I know a lot, or Nepo, I know a lot of you know who he is, says, now I have no choice but to see through another's eyes. That's been a really big one for me in the last, 3 months, almost 4 at this point. So what happened, I'm just going to try to, I found a place where I was very passionate and I wanted to take action. And I'll tell you what the circumstance was. This was after the murder of George Floyd. And I went into very much impulsive thought. And then I asked, what is here for me to know? What is mine to do? And the answer actually came very quickly. But what I loved about it, once I asked, it was reinforced and reinforced from lots of different places, which also feels good. But what I knew was that I needed to start to look through, I don't have a really great term for this, but I needed to have a deeper understanding of what the Black community was trying to say and what it's people of color, Indigenous, and and Black people. I needed to hear those voices more strongly, and so I've watched a lot of things that were available to me, and I just didn't. And I've been reading a lot. I'd be more than happy to share all my lists of books and what I have found of great value that I've watched on television. But what I really got was that I needed to continue to educate myself. And I'm about to actually start another, it's actually free, but it's from Yale University, and it's a class on Black history in America, which I never had an opportunity to take that. So I decided, yeah, that would be good too. Uh, but I'm just really diving in, educating myself. The other thing that came up for me was, put your money where your mouth is, kind of. And so I've also begun to financially support a few organizations that I really feel, and this is monthly, I'm sending money monthly, because I feel that the work they do is so important. So your actions are probably going to be really different, because what I'm passionate about is not necessarily what you're going to be passionate about. But there is something, I'm sure, welling up inside of you, and it starts with you asking your very highest self, where do I take action? What is mine? And then express it passionately, because people are excited by your passion, by what you're doing and what you have to say. The other thing I think is so important is that we find our voices, and that your voice is to be released. And I know that for a lot of us, for me, I know that that was really uncomfortable, because I was taught to be a good girl. I was taught to hold back. I was taught to be polite and to not make waves. And so having hard conversations is not, it doesn't come naturally to me, because it wasn't what I learned. So now I need to learn something else so it comes more naturally to me. So I think it's really important that we stand in our truth, which means we're standing in our power, and we know that speaking from that place will heal our planet. So please join me in that. I have this great Van Gogh quote too I want to share with you. And so this is Vincent Van Gogh, and he said, "The fishermen know that the sea is dangerous and the storm terrible, but they have never found these dangers sufficient reason for remaining ashore." It's time that we all kind of push off from the shore, from where we feel the most safe. And it doesn't have to be big. It just could be small little steps that just start to move us towards what it is that we truly value about our lives and about who we are and where we are in our world today. So that's primarily the main lesson for today. And what I would like for you to do now is I'm going to do a treatment, but down in the chat box, if you would like to type in a request for a treatment. So this needs to be like 1 or 2 words, and it's what you want, not what you don't want. So it could be love or peace, whatever, abundance, prosperity. But go ahead and do that. And we're gonna have a minute, just 1 minute of silence, or close to a minute. I'm gonna be counting to myself. And so you have that time to put your treatment requests in, and then I'm gonna start the treatment. So if there's no, oh, never mind, because I just saw a request pop up. Let's go. If there's no request, we're just going to do a closing treatment. So here starts our silence. Okay, so join me in treatment as together we know that there is only one thing, and that thing is God. That thing is happening right here and right now, that it flows through us and within us. And it is from this place that we all can enter into a place of agreement that there is something wonderful, something beautiful that is expanding through each of us and into the world. And that each of us is also ready to accept the greatest good for ourselves, for one another, and for the world. And so right now I declare for Madge that right where she is, that flowing through her, touching every part of her body, is strength and energy, that she is up to anything that stands before her, that all that she needs is already within her and bubbling up, ready to be expressed. And I know for Terry that right where she is, that she is in this moment ready and willing to accept complete peace of mind. Where she sees discord, she knows that there is something there to learn from, to grow from, and she allows herself to be energized as she feels this peace, feels this tranquility deep within. And I know for Sandy that right where she is, there is this amazing being who is already perfect, already whole, so that any kind of healing that needs to take place is already underway in every fiber of her being, in every thought. And she is now open and receptive to that greater place within her where only the truth abides, and allowing that truth, allowing that wholeness to flow forward. And I know for Harvey that right where he is, there is this sense of knowing a greater truth, that God is all there is, and that he is closer and closer to that truth, to that God all the time, that he enters into a place of deep inner silence where that voice, that spontaneous, godlike voice enters into his consciousness right here, right now. And I know for Bonnie that right where she is, there is an unconditionally loving being. So the awareness of that, to be consciously connected, that is her truth today, that she finds a way to enter in and to feel it and love it, loving herself and loving all others unconditionally. And I know for Gail that right where she is, there is only one thing, and that thing is God, and that she can trust it completely. And she trusts in the universe that God is absolutely moving through any condition and anything that it appears to be out of balance. This too shall pass. And what is absolutely being revealed is a place of security, a place she can trust, and it will not be hindered. And I know for Patty that right where she is, she dwells in an infinite presence in which she is secure and she is absolutely safe. She is safe in her comings and her goings, for the divine is preceding her, it is behind her, it is all around her, it is above her, and mostly it is within her. And in that place, she resides in safety. And I know for Madeline that right where she is, that this loving presence is always there and always ready to reveal itself. So it reveals itself through her as great kindness, kindness to one another, kindness in her thought, kindness in her deed. And as she continues, then she sees that kindness returning abundantly from all sorts of places, places that she might not have ever imagined before, because that love of God exists, that kindness exists. And it exists for her now. And for Kimberly. I recognize that right where Kimberly is, there is this ever-present source that flows through her abundantly, and therefore she calls true and secure abundance into her life right here, right now. And there is something that is welling up so that she can absolutely do what she wants, when she wants, and the way she wants to do it, because the universe wants that for her. And so abundance is just her absolute state of being. And so I know that as each of us allows ourselves to leave the shore, that we are experiencing a new sense of wholeness, a new sense of holiness. Because we know that that action that we're being called to do will bring great peace. And it may not be the big, ultimate, complete peace, but that feeling of peace within our hearts to do what is ours to do, that continues. And so everything can be experienced and brought forward in grace and in ease. And for this, I just feel so completely honored, so completely uplifted. And I know for all beings everywhere, that all beings are happy, all beings are peaceful, all beings are free, for all beings are God. Now let that be so, and so it is. So you know what happens now. Now it's time for our offering. I go, oh, okay. I just want to begin by thanking those of you who have been continuing to give to the center. We really need that. And it is what keeps us going. And we really love that. So right now, I'm just going to encourage you to make a commitment to the center. And we have a couple of ways for you right now, starting today, or suggestions on ways that you can continue to contribute. The first one is you write a check. And you can do that weekly, you can do that monthly, you can do that annually. And I know, like, having become closer with Edward Fillion over the last month or two, and we were already pretty close. I know that this is his favorite way to get the offering, because many of his people put little notes of love and encouragement, just carry notes inside. And I just think that's great. So yeah, you can send it, and that would be great. So that's the first way. The second way is if you use electronic bill pay through your bank, add the center to your list of payees. That's what I do. And so it's my preferred method. You can set it up in your, like for me, because it's called home banking with my bank. When I'm in home banking, I can set that, and I can set it to recur. So I don't, because I really like the process of going in once a month and doing all my tithe checks to all the centers where I'm involved at this point. And we don't have this one yet, but hopefully in the next, well, we're going to talk to the board about it and see what they think, but we're going to look at creating a donate button that will be posted somewhere. I don't know where yet. We're considering our Facebook page, but we're considering, because that's not our Facebook page, our website, but that's a real underutilized thing for us. So we're still talking about it. And and it's up to the board to decide. So anyway, that's those are my things about giving to the church, and so I'm hoping that you all will consider and do so. The address for the church, just so you know, or Gail, you could enter this into the chat. So, oh, it's harder for you because you're not at a computer. Harvey, could you enter into the chat? Center for Spiritual Living, 741 South Oak Street, Ukiah, 95482. So that's what we've got. And as you consider that today, I'd also like for you to just join me, and because it's all about David Bruner today, this is the offering affirmation from the center in San Jose. So just know with me now that from the love of pure spirit within me, I bless my gift. I send it forward to heal, bless, and prosper. It is evidence of my faith and my belief. It does great work in the world and returns to me multiplied abundantly. Okay, so just, I do have a couple more announcements. And so, because there are other ways that we could be connecting. So I'm just trying to get some feedback, and all of this will be in upcoming newsletters. So please check your email, and I'm going to do my best to get those newsletters out on Thursdays. So if you check Thursday night, Friday, you'll be able to see the link to these will always be there. I do have it set up as recurring, so I think the one you have now, but I'm just going to list it every time. But other things we could do that other centers are doing, and smaller centers, and are having a lot of success, is they're doing book groups. They're doing, in San Jose, again, they do a check-in every day for a half an hour. I don't think I'm quite up for that, but I was thinking about doing a midweek check-in that would just be a half an hour, and just a place for people to come. You can see each other and see how that feels. So think about that. Also looking at something where small groups connect. There's something that's popular right now called Power of 8. And what it is, it's groups of 8, but it does, it's not supposed to be more than 8, it can be smaller. And again, this is a check-in time for those people to just come together. And it could be more like, I was on a regional ministerial call a week or so ago, and we were on for an hour and a half, and there were only 15 people on it, but all we did was check in and just said what was going on for us, what was going on in our life. And it was really wonderful to kind of hear, and there wasn't a lot of crosstalk. There wasn't like, oh, that's great or anything. It was just letting people have a place to be heard. So we could do some Power of 8 groups. I also want to let you know that on my Facebook page, there is every day I ask a question. These are mostly just questions for the fun of it, but I started a couple of days ago, and I'm getting a lot of responses. In fact, Kimberly, who's been with us today, she's responded to a couple of questions. And they're just for fun. So that's just on, I'm just doing it on my personal page because it's easier for me to track them there. But go to my go to Facebook and then open my page and check out the question. And you can answer any of them, but like I just loaded one this morning for today. My first day, I was absolutely shocked. I loaded it and walked away, and I came back an hour later, and I had like 20 answers, and by the end of the day, I had 90. And almost nobody was people from Ukiah, because you didn't know. But I think it's a way for us, and it's really fun looking at the other answers. Some people take the questions very seriously. Some just, you know, crack a joke, and it's really fun. So you can consider that maybe something you could do to hang out. I'm also going to be putting in our newsletter some inspirational videos. I just want the newsletter to be full of inspiration. So I'm trying to do an article, I'm trying to do treatments, I'm trying to do videos that are meaningful. So okay, so that's really it. Those are my announcements for today. Just keep me in your mind, and it was great. I'm just looking at my notes. Yeah, Kimberly, PayPal is the one we're considering. We just have to get board approval first. But thank you, because that was my research took me to that too. So we have a closing song, and so you need to stay muted because I don't know if you guys have tried to sing on Zoom, but you can't because there's lag time. And so Madge will always be in front of us. So if you want to sing at home, feel free, but stay muted, except for Madge, you can unmute yourself. And when the song is over, don't leave, come back for just one more thing, but this is the official end of the service.
Oops. All right. Oh, I'm going to put it on gallery view so I can see all your faces. And this way I will know if you're singing along. And I love to, I hear them. If I see your mouth moving, I feel the participation. And so I encourage you to sing along. And it's also really safe because no one can hear you if you're on the wrong note or you're trying a harmony that you've never tried. It's all safe because it's just me and you. So, okay. And I thought we should do something really familiar to bring us back to our connection with each other and the center. So I'm going to do Let There Be Peace on Earth. And I'm doing it a little lower for my voice. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our one source, united all are we. Let us walk with each other, or work in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and it has begun with me.
Thank you, Madge. That was great. So anyway, I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to visit for a while. So I'm going to unmute everyone. Try not to talk over each other too much. But if somebody would like to share, now would be your opportunity. Because I scheduled this for an hour and a half. So we still have like 20 minutes or so. If it's time for you to go, go. But but I'll sit here so that you guys can share.
I just say it's nice to see people's faces that I haven't seen for a while, that I was used to seeing every week, since March. Bonnie and Madeline and Madge and Candace and Patty and Gail, and knowing that Sandy's there and Terry's there, and good to be back together again.
Yes, me too. It was very nice. Thank you, Candace, for doing this. Uh-oh, and I have a telephone call coming in. So I guess that is my indication to sign off.
Okay.
I love you all. I miss you all.
Love you too. See you
I'm
Tuesday.
looking forward to seeing it. Bye, guys.
I was going to mention that my another tribe that I'm in is my women's chorus, Inland Valley Women's Chorus, and we've been meeting weekly by Zoom, and we do about half of the time is check-ins, and we're just giving each other a minute and a half each to check in, and then we have another 45 minutes at the end to sing like we just did, with one person leading and everyone else muted, because Candace is right. Otherwise, it's completely chaotic, it's cacophony. But those check-ins have been really nice, and especially when there's not too many of us, it's sort of nice to hear what's been both inspiring or hard or challenging for people, and it's nice. I encourage that there be a space for that if we can. Actually, we lost one of our members, one of the founding members of Inland Valley Women's Chorus is Margot Selleck. And I don't know if all of you know her, but she died about a week and a half ago. It was really sad.
Margot was our neighbor.
Good friend. And we also lost Ricardo Stalker, those who don't know, somewhere else, over a few months ago.
I didn't know. Thank you. I loved him. He's a great guy.
Well, I have to say that there has been really time for deeper places inside myself, more of that meditation time. And I'm in a group called Soul Circle on Zoom that has been really good for me, and where we really share some of our deep issues. And it's also been really hard. I mean, we just had a big tree in front of our home last week, half of it cut down because there was a big part of rot in it, and it creaked. And I was the only one who heard it at first, and nobody heard it, but I knew that tree was in trouble. And thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Bonnie, for the assist. Casey was really good, and then we have a semblance of a tree left because it's important to honor nature.
Oh, and Paul Morgan came by. I was hoping we would see him here, and saw that the wood was lying in, and asked if we wanted to have him cut it up, and sure we did. And he spent, maybe 2 and 3 hours. He's a workhorse. He puts on his chaps on his legs and his big Husqvarna chainsaw, and boy, he went to town and did some great work.
2.5 hours, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was good to see him.
Well, thank you, Candace. It's been very, very nice being involved in this morning and listening to a sermon, a talk, which I haven't in quite a few months. And it's good to see everybody, and There's been it's been an amazing experience to go through this whole experience that the world is going through on many different levels, you know, global, national, personal, community-wise. It's been very powerful and interesting. And for me, everything is good. Everything is going well. So good to see you all.
See you too, Madeline. Good to see all of you. I'm just very thankful to Canvas for being open to doing this for us to help us stay together. I was beginning to feel like we were very much falling apart. And so really thankful for this.
You know,
I'm gonna go. Thank you all for
Hi,
being
Nat.
here.
Thank you.
Look
And
forward to
we'll
it.
be in touch
Okay.
for more.
Okay, bye.
Well, Matt is, you can go. I'm just going to talk about you.
Oh, okay, I'm leaving.
Okay, Matt, when we just connected like yesterday, and she's, you know, do you want me to do music? And I had thought about it, and I kind of was just like, well, I'm not sure how that'll work. And then I went, yeah, what the heck? We're all in this learning curve. And but David has also offered, and I'm going to talk to Calvin and a couple other, Mary, and just see, because if we can do it like what Madge just did today, everybody stays muted. But she was willing to do a couple of songs. Like, well, let's just start with one, and we decided that that would be really nice and appropriate to do the peace song, you know. But the other thing I'd like to say is, like, this is really, I think this is a really meaningful way to reconnect. So during your week process, if you talk to other people who aren't here today, because I kind of expected to see the other 3 board members, which are not here. So, and I'm, you know, I know one of them very well, and I know that she does forget. So, and it might take a few weeks for us to get, you know, used to the idea that we have church now at 10:30, just like always. And it'll be very much like this, where, you know, we'll come on and there'll probably be some chit-chatting, and then I'll mute you all, and then we'll do the service. And then we'll have time to visit, and people do not have to stay for the visit. I mean, it's nice. I know that the two big churches that I've been doing their services, they both have kind of like a social hour thing. I think San Jose maybe does it every week. Santa Rosa does it once a month. But part of it for that is they have to come off because they do multiple services. They have to come on, and if you want to do the social thing, but for us it wouldn't be. You know, we can just set a time so we know we have a little extra time so people can visit, and we can do things like raise hands and stuff if somebody wants to say something and get called on. So we don't, but like right now, a group of 10, we're doing, or now we're down to 5, but we're doing really well, not talking over each other. But there's ways to make sure. I also meant to say the flowers are not being raffled, but hopefully we'll have flowers every week. So, but I get to keep them. It's part of what I get. So anybody else have something they want to share?
I would like to say that I've really become much more involved in Emotions Anonymous on Zoom twice a week now, and people from all over the world. And I started to be a sponsor. I'm working with a guy from Italy, which is very interesting, in New York, and people from all over as a sponsor, and I also got a sponsor, a 91-year-old man who's written books in Florida, and that's been really helpful in helping me work the steps. So it's a really growing thing for me to be involved in that.
The other thing I've been really involved in, starting in last before summer, and now again, is virtual learning. It's Jesse's a senior, so he's doing all his classes online. Actually, this year so far it's been just really sweet. It's been really easy, but yeah, we have these lives, you know, that continue regardless of what the circumstances are.
Oh, and I'll let you know about Maggie Norton. She has a Zoom yoga class on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Andy,
And the Tuesday class is a very basic, relaxing class, yoga, easy yoga. And the Wednesday class is a little bit more strenuous, or, you know, just a little bit more physical, if anybody is interested.
I've been doing it and I love it.
You've been doing Maggie's classes?
Yes.
Cool. I love Maggie. David's actually been doing yoga with Darcy Nicholson down at the health club.
Oh,
And I go to the health club almost every day. It's my outing. And it's all outside stuff, unless you have therapy things, which I have. So I'm in the indoor pool, but I'm often by myself in that pool. So,
what I understand is if you have a doctor's note
Mhm.
saying that you can be in the inside pool, and I don't know if they'll have classes if enough people. You know, I was in a class there for 1 week before they closed it.
well, some of the water, you mean like a water aerobics class or those?
It was like senior aerobics or.
Yeah. No, they're doing them, but they're doing them outside. Because
Outside,
I
I know.
usually am going in the afternoon just because it's quieter. But a couple of times I've had to go in the morning, and I think they're like 8:30.
That's
And you should check their class list, because I think you'll find that the same teachers are teaching.
I don't want to be there at 8:30 in the morning now. It's too cold.
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All
Teresa's
right.
gonna be here. I'll see you all next week.
All right.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for the
Bye.
treatment.
It was really good.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all. So I guess this is our call for, unless one of you want to say something to me personally, we can go. So I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. And again, thank you all so much for being here. It was really great for me, and I totally appreciate you. So I am going to post this. It'll be in the newsletter, because the YouTube page is I just set it up in my name for right now. And if we end up doing this, which I think we will, and even after we can go back together, if we continue to record the services, it'll be nice to have someplace, but we can worry about making the page more about the center and less about me. But right now, it's just, if you go to YouTube and you put in Candace Beckett, a page, and just to make sure I could load something, I loaded the talk, just the talk part that I did for Santa Rosa a couple weeks ago. So
That was good.
well, thank you. Thank you. It was fun for me. Okay. Love you all.
Love you all.
bye.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.